So, as a sales leader or an executive, what is the true cost to your business when a critical sales role just sits empty for a month? Or, I mean, even worse, when a new hire totally fails to deliver and then leaves within a year?
Oh, it's completely devastating.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you aren't just losing a base salary or, the recruitment fee.
Mm-hmm.
You are actively bleeding your potential pipeline.
Right.
And honestly, you're basically just handing precious market share directly over to your competitors. It stalls your entire organizational growth projection.
Yeah, exactly. Which brings us to the core mission of today's deep dive. We are looking at a really fantastic comprehensive guide called How to Choose a Sales Recruiter. And this is by Nathan Davis from the Sales Experts.
It's a great piece. And our goal today is to really uncover why traditional hiring methods are just fundamentally failing your revenue pipeline right now.
Right, and we're going to break down how you can actually identify a genuinely specialist recruitment partner. Plus, we'll walk you through the exact structured framework you need to guarantee long-term sales success.
Because look, the difference between crushing your annual revenue targets and just totally missing them, it rarely comes down to the product itself.
Yeah, that's true.
It almost always comes down to the architecture of how you actually bring commercial talent through the door. If you're a founder or a hiring manager trying to scale a team, you really need to hear this.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because to fix a broken hiring process, we really have to understand why our current tools are, well, steering us wrong, relying on an applicant tracking system, an ATS, and just keyword matching a CV. It's literally like trying to buy a high-performance sports car by only reading the owner's manual.
Oh, I love that analogy.
Right. I mean, the manual tells you the specs, but it tells you absolutely nothing about how the car actually handles on the road when you're driving it.
Exactly. And that is the ATS trap in a nutshell. Sales hiring is just never as simple as matching a job description to a resume. Candidates today are incredibly savvy.
Oh, yeah, they know how the game is played.
They do. They know exactly how to optimize their CVs to completely bypass ATS filters. They just mirror the specific language from your job description. And what that does is it creates a mountain of noise rather than actual quality.
So you're just getting flooded with perfectly formatted matches who might actually be terrible salespeople in the real world.
Precisely. Let's look at a specific example from the text. Imagine two different candidates, and they both hold the exact same title on their resume. Account manager.
Okay.
To an algorithm, they look identical. But one of them might just manage, say, inbound SME renewals. The client is already bought in, marketing did the work, and the rep is just doing administrative relationship management.
Right. They're just getting the renewal paperwork signed.
Exactly. But the other account manager might be navigating these drooling 9-month complex six-figure enterprise deals. They're handling procurement departments, multiple stakeholders, high-stakes negotiation.
Wow. So the title alone tells the hiring manager literally nothing about their actual ability to succeed in a specific market.
Nothing at all. It totally obscures their actual tactical skill set, which means your recruiter has to possess a really deep understanding of the specific environment the candidate is actually going to be selling in.
But wait, I mean, let me push back on that a little bit because you hear this all the time. Isn't selling just selling? Like if someone is a killer closer in software, can't they just, learn the jargon and pivot to selling heavy machinery?
What's fascinating here is that assumption right there is arguably a massive commercial risk. Assuming selling is selling just ignores the psychology of how different industries buy. Strong sales performance looks totally different across sectors.
Because the buyer's motivations are completely different, right?
Yes, exactly. A specialist recruiter has to speak the distinct commercial language of your market. Take SaaS, for example. Software as a service.
Right. What does success look like there?
In SaaS, it's all about annual recurring revenue, or ARR. The recruiter is looking for someone who understands demo-to-close conversions, average contract value, velocity, and guiding a multi-stakeholder B2B journey. It's fast-paced.
Okay, so then contrast that with manufacturing. Because if you drop that fast-moving sauce closer into heavy manufacturing, what happens?
They drown. They absolutely drown.
Yeah.
Because a manufacturing buyer, like a plant manager or an OEM, they aren't buying future growth. They are buying risk mitigation.
Ah, okay. That makes sense.
Yeah, it requires an understanding of distributor networks, OEM relationships, and really long procurement cycles. You're selling to plant-level buyers, so you need deep technical credibility. The SaaS charisma actually works against you there.
Wow. And then the source also mentions technical solutions, which is highly consultative, right? Collaborating with pre-sales and engineering.
Exactly. And FMCG, fast-moving consumer goods, is a totally different sport. That revolves around route-to-market strategy, retail execution, merchandising, and just hitting volume-led targets,
So if your recruiter doesn't inherently get the difference between FMCG merchandising and SaaS ARR growth, they're just blindly matching keywords.
which is incredibly dangerous for your bottom line.
So what does this all mean for how a company actually finds these people? Because if the perfect candidate requires this highly specific sector-aligned skill set, if the best candidates aren't on job boards, how do we reach them?
Well, that's the stark reality. The top-performing salespeople are almost always already employed. They are hitting their numbers, making their commission, and they rarely keep their CVs polished.
Because they just don't need to.
Right. A specialist recruiter doesn't just, map the talent landscape. They act as an intelligence network. They know exactly which of your competitors are producing the top talent.
Oh, interesting.
And more importantly, they know what actually motivates those specific passive individuals to take a meeting and consider a move.
And the source mentions that a strong recruiter also provides a reality check on the commercial economics of hiring, right? What does that mean in practice?
It means they push back on unrealistic executive expectations. If a business founder says, I want someone to rapidly build a massive pipeline and hit huge numbers immediately.
The recruiter steps in and says, wait a minute.
Exactly. They ensure the compensation package, the quota expectations, and the ramp-up periods actually reflect that reality. You can't demand a top 1% closer and offer a below-market base salary.
Right, the top performers know their worth. Okay, so here's where it gets really interesting. Knowing what a good recruiter should do, how can an executive quickly spot an agency that's just going to waste their time?
Well, speed in recruitment is often an illusion of progress. That's a huge red flag.
Really, because agencies always brag about how fast they are.
They do. But if an agency sends you a stack of CVs within 24 hours with absolutely no evidence of structured screening, they aren't recruiting, they're just forwarding emails.
Right, they're just a highly paid postal service at that point.
Exactly. Other red flags include giving really vague answers when you ask how they evaluate actual sales ability, or if they rely heavily on job ads instead of targeted outreach.
Or if they just completely disappear the moment an introduction is made.
Yes. If they vanish until it's time to send the invoice, that's a broker, not a partner.
So what's the alternative? How do we replace that broken system? The deep dive outlines a proprietary methodology from the sales experts called the 5-stage sales team scaling system.
Yes. And this framework is designed to ensure hires actually perform in the real world. Stage 1 is role and revenue design.
And that's not just writing a standard job description, right?
No, not at all. It's defining the actual commercial brief. Who is the target market? What's the average deal size? What is the specific buyer profile? You have to design the role around the revenue expectations before you do anything else.
Okay, so once you have that blueprint, stage 2 is market mapping and targeted search. This is where you actually approach that passive talent we talked about.
Right, but you're hunting in the right competitor networks. You aren't just waiting for active applicants on LinkedIn.
And then stage 3, this is the sales capability assessment. How do you evaluate real behaviors without just relying on their charisma in an interview?
You test for things like pipeline generation and deal control. A great specialist will ask a candidate to meticulously break down a major deal they lost, not just the ones they won.
Oh, I love that, because it forces them to show accountability. Do they blame the product, or do they take ownership of losing control of the deal?
Exactly, which leads into stage 4. Structured interview and decision support. This is all about using objective, weighted scorecards to completely remove gut-feeling decisions.
Because we've all been charmed by a great talker who turns out to be a terrible closer.
Exactly. Chemistry does not equal commercial competence. The scorecards keep the hiring manager focused purely on the evidence.
And finally, stage 5. Offer management and onboarding alignment. Because getting a verbal yes isn't the finish line.
Not even close. You have to ensure that the compensation package and the expected ramp-up journey perfectly match what was discussed in stage 1.
Right, so everyone is on the exact same page before day 1.
Yes, that alignment is what drastically reduces early attrition.
Wow, okay. So to crystallize this for you, the listener, if you want to achieve genuine sales success, here are the core takeaways. First, you have to stop relying on ATS filters and keyword-stuffed CVs. It's just blinding you to top talent.
Absolutely. And second, you must demand that your recruitment partner speaks the specific commercial language of your exact sector. They need to understand your unique sales motion.
And third, implement a rigid, structured hiring framework like the five-stage system from role design all the way to onboarding alignment to really reduce that early attrition.
It's the only way to build a predictable revenue engine.
So, if you're ready to stop leaving your revenue to chance and you want to take action, you need to visit thesalesexperts.com. You can learn more there about how to secure the top 1% of sales talent.
And look, we spent all this time talking about how specialist recruiters hunt down top performers who aren't even looking for jobs. So ask yourself right now, if a specialist recruiter approached your absolute best salesperson tomorrow, is your current compensation and team structure strong enough to keep them from taking the call?